Welcome back, college baseball fans, to ACC Central. I have a very special guest here. We have the National College Baseball Writers Association Freshman Pitcher of the Year, Aidan Knaak of Clemson. Aidan, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. It's good to be on here with you, Monty.
Yeah. We can jump right into it. One of the first things before we talk about some of the fall stuff, I wanted to talk about you got a Team USA invite. Ultimately, I know you weren't able to go or do it, but what kind of an honor was that like just to receive the invitation?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool to have such um, a great, highly touted organization like USA Baseball to come out and invite me to something like that, an event like that. Um, and it's just an honor to, be able to have that kind of be able to have that. I mean, I wasn't able to go, but just very thankful for that opportunity if I were to go. But very excited to hopefully be able to go out there and do it next year.
Yeah, you threw a ton of innings, so I I'm glad you got to rest. I remember watching Jason DeCaro, who was another freshman pitcher who did go to Team USA, and he had thrown I think 89 innings, something similar to your number. And I was just like, man, I hope Jason's not going to summer league after this because he's pitching well, but that arm as a freshman, I know it's a lot.
Yeah, especially when you come from high school, you're throwing like not nearly half as much innings as you are in college. So yeah.
Yeah. So glad that arm is rested and ready to roll for next season. Um, what are the vibes coming into fall practice this season for Clemson?
Just we're trying to we just finished up 8-hour weeks and we're heading into 20-hour weeks pretty soon. So just been easing back into it. Really liking the new team, getting to meet all these new faces with the guys leaving last year, getting drafted. Um, yeah, so it's good. It's kind of it feels like a little bit of a new start, but just getting back into training, bullpens, starting up live ABs next year. So all the fun stuff is coming up here in the next week or two. So I'm very excited.
And how much of this initial fall stuff is really getting the chemistry going for the team? Because like you said, you've got a bunch of new faces. How much of that is team building and just gelling as a group?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with these guys pretty much. I mean, I see them all the time, on campus every day at practice. So I mean, we're always gelling pretty well, getting that chemistry, and just like everything we do, whether it's in the weight room, practice. I got my roommates. I'm always with them. So yeah, seeing the teammates a lot this time of year, especially. We got football games coming up, so it'll be good bonding time then too. Got that game tomorrow against App State.
That'll be a lot of fun. That atmosphere for any sport at Clemson is pretty special.
Yeah,
Um, so I know you haven't had a lot of chance to get into a lot of practices. Like you said, you guys have just been doing the 8-hour weeks. But has any of the new faces stood out to you in a big way that you've seen? Or, I know all of them are going to bring something special to the table, but is there anyone who's like stood out, caught your eye?
I would say, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. We haven't really seen anyone, go out on the field and, compete in like a game-like setting. But I would say there's been some pretty good athletes in the weight room that have stood out to me a lot. I'd say Talon Bell he's super athletic, super like athletically gifted kid. I mean, that dude can jump through the roof. A couple more freshmen in there, I would say, but a lot of strong guys. But Talon Bell stood out to me the most, I would say.
Love that. Love that. Um, who on your team? I mean, obviously you had a breakout freshman year. You had a number of guys have some breakout years. Who on the team do you think has the best chance to have a breakout year in the spring?
Um, it's kind of hard to tell right now, to be
Yeah.
honest, because like
Yeah.
we haven't done any like highly competitive scenarios, like just get on the mound and competing.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to tell right now, but we'll know that in in a few weeks.
Yeah, yeah. You guys have plenty of time to figure that out and get into it, because you also have the benefit of typically a little bit nicer weather later into the season than some schools do. So you guys can be a little bit more patient with getting the workouts in. One thing I wanted to mention, we just kind of briefly mentioned it when we talked about the football team, but the special Clemson game day atmosphere.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
could you tell me what that's like and what it means to you out on the mound, or when you're not pitching and you're just in the dugout hearing it?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'd say that series against South Carolina, that was pretty sweet. Just rolling up to the stadium, you got guys, you got fans, tailgating before the game, like 9 a.m. I remember against Florida in the Super Regional and Regional and against Coastal, it was getting in the field like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning for breakfast, and there's people up on Jervy, like on top of the gym, like screaming and yelling at us, like trying to get us fired up for the game at like 2 o'clock that day. So they were just sitting there waiting all day. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. It makes you feel like, I mean, yeah, I can't imagine what that must be like at that level. Was that a factor in deciding to go to Clemson coming out of high school, or is that just a bonus?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to play somewhere, where the fans care, and Clemson's like definitely way up there. I mean, these guys are hardcore. These fans are hardcore. I mean, they're awesome. I mean, every single game, no matter what game it is, you see Clemson fans everywhere. Like even our away games, there's just so many fans. We went to Charlotte for ACC tournament, and there's so many Clemson fans there. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Very good fan base.
Yeah. And they fill up the press box as well.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So, because I remember, because you guys had played later in the week, I think a little bit, and I came in and I'd been gotten used to getting front row in the press box, and all of a sudden I was like, "Whoa, there's like a dozen new people here for Clemson." So,
yeah.
Great fan base, a lot of fun. What do you love about the university and the baseball program in particular? What makes you so proud to be a Clemson Tiger?
I would say the coaching staff, the way they run the program it's kind of refreshing. They do a really good job, creating that good team culture. Eric Bakich, that's like his pretty much number one priority is to build that team culture. So to make this the best experience for the players. So been really enjoying that.
Yeah, he's fantastic coach. One of my favorite guys to listen to do post game press conferences with, just to his answers and his demeanor and everything. Makes you want to run through a wall. So I like, even as as a media person, I'm like, wait a second. But talking about some of that, the team culture and everything. One of the things under Bakich's tenure is he's had these leaders, like before your year, I think it was Riley Bertram, and then this past year, Jimmy Obertop and Blake Wright. How do you replace those guys? Not just on the field, it seems like an easier thing to replace than the leadership capability and the culture they brought.
Yeah, those guys, I mean, they had a lot of experience. They're older guys, grad guys. They had a lot of experience with college baseball. Blake Wright's been here since day one of his college career, so it's very hard to replace a guy like that. But I would say, it takes someone with a lot of experience in this program. Like Riley Bertram, he was very familiar with Eric Bakich, and then Blake Wright, he's been here for, like I said, since day one of his college career. So, I mean, I'm sure we'll have that guy. We have a few older guys on the team that could probably step into that role, but ultimately replacing a guy like Blake Wright is going to be very, very hard to do.
Absolutely. And obviously you're going into the next season. I think that you were one of like 3 or 4 freshmen pitchers that were starters in the ACC from basically the first couple of weekends. What was that like? Did you expect to be a starter day one? I mean, they had a deep bullpen. I think I was a little personally surprised because I know how deep the pitching staff was, and to see your name in there almost immediately as a Sunday starter must have been pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a goal for me ever since I committed to Clemson. And, just going through that recruiting process in college, I've always made that my number one focus is to just, work my way as a starter, as soon as I can. I mean, I know I kind of saw it, um, during fall scrimmages and stuff, doing live ABs, kind of feeling out what it's like, that college atmosphere of like, pitching against older guys. Like I'm pitching against transfer guys that have played against hundreds of college players before, and it's their fifth years, and they've seen, a ton of guys like, and I just got back from, just got out of high school, and I'm facing guys that are like 5, maybe 6 years older than me. So it's kind of cool getting used to that. And, once we got out through the fall, I kind of started to have that sense that I could possibly be a starter.
Yeah, and what was interesting, I thought, was about you. It seemed like you settled in as ACC play came in, so the opponents got a little bit tougher, and
Mhm.
you got better. Because I think at one point it was like you, Jamie Arnold, and Chase Burns all having these insane numbers in conference play. That must have been kind of humbling to see your name with potential first round picks as a freshman.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like the first game definitely had the jitters a little bit, but then a couple weeks go by, started to settle in. Just getting used to that like big stage was the biggest thing for me. And then after those first couple starts, man, I mean, it was just like autopilot. Like, oh yeah, okay, here, got my routine down. I'm gonna do this before the game. Stretch at this time before the game. Is just getting those routines down and just getting used to that big stage to be able to settle in and kind of get a feel for what I'm going into was how it was done.
Absolutely, and you mentioned that it had always been a goal for you to be a starter. Obviously, you're a starter. You've got to maintain that spot and prove that you deserve it again, I imagine. But you probably will. But what's the next goal?
Um, Next goal is to bring this team to the next level. I mean, 2 years ago, uh, they made it to regionals, lost to regionals to Tennessee. Last year, we won regionals, made it to supers, and hopefully this year, just make it one step further than last year, make it to that Omaha, and come out with a national championship. So just doing what I can um, to help this team get to the next level.
So, is there anything in particular that you're looking to improve during the fall? Specifically, I'm sure you're looking to improve in all areas, but is there anything really specific that you're looking to improve?
Yeah, I've been working on a new pitch. It's kind of like a cutter slider type deal, but just been playing around with it, trying to just add that to my arsenal, and just see how it plays, see how I can implement it, kind of test that out this fall. And but yeah, that's kind of my focus right now. Um, just making sure everything moves the same as it did last year whenever I did well, and kind of just maintain what I've had.
How are you going to deal with some of the heightened expectations? Obviously, I think you had high expectations as a freshman, but now you're an established starter. The numbers you put up last year, how are you going to handle that and deal with some of that pressure?
Um, I mean, I really don't feel any pressure. I mean, I feel like it's all based on experience. So I mean, if I've done it before, I feel like I can do it again. It's still, the plate is still the plate still the same size. I mean, it's not going to change. The mound's not going to be shorter or longer. It's always going to be 60 feet, 6 inches away. So it's pretty much, you know, I've had the experience from last year, so I can just kind of take that and make improvements upon that to try to have a better year, if not the same.
Yeah, I mean, just talking to you now, you seem very even keeled, level headed. It doesn't seem like you go too much one way or the other, and I'm sure that really helps on the mound to to just stay composed and everything. So I imagine pressure is just kind of
Yeah, I mean, like there's, of course, like I said, there's a lot of pressure the first game, but it's just like, I mean, experience just builds over time. Like if you zoom out in that perspective, it's like, oh my gosh, so much pressure. But like, it's just like it's like you go out there, it's just like doing anything else. Like, you wake up every morning. It's you kind of do that every day. It's just experience.
and ultimately it ends up being pretty fun, right? Like, so that probably helps a bit too, right?
So fun. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, because some of that pressure comes from being at a big program and everything, and a big fan base, and yet that's part of the fun of being at Clemson too. So,
yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah, don't get me wrong. There is pressure, but
yeah,
I feel like for me that's what makes it fun.
Yeah,
like you're in the super regional. There's a lot of pressure, but if there was no pressure, like, I mean, that wouldn't really make it fun. So I guess you could put it like that.
Yeah. I guess it's also part of being a pitcher because you're out there all on your own, and it's just you and the batter. So, real quick, kind of switching it up a little bit. We've got football has kind of driven realignment. So we've got some new members in the ACC, and we don't know the schedules yet. We don't know, if Clemson has to go out to California or not. But are you excited about the opportunity to possibly go travel to California to play some conference games and play those teams?
Yeah, for sure. That'd be pretty cool to go out to a place like Cal or Stanford. Get over on the West Coast, play those type of teams. I have some family out there, so it'll be good to see them. They'll probably come out to the games. I mean, I've been over the West Coast a lot because that's where my family grew up. Both my parents grew up in, or my mom grew up in Los Angeles. My dad grew up in Sacramento, so it'll be cool going out there and to the West Coast and play some ball. Yeah.
Awesome. You wear the number 19. Is there any special significance to that number, or is that just kind of what you got assigned, or?
Yeah, well, my birthday is on the 19th of September, so I mean, I've always had that since I was like a little kid. I like that. Like always had that number. I've always stuck with it. So yeah,
it's a good pitcher number, I think too. I see a lot of the single digits, and I don't know why. Maybe I'm just a traditionalist. The single digit pitcher numbers kind of drive me a little nuts, but they're just numbers. But all right, so we can get into a little bit of fun stuff here. Maybe some superlatives. I know if you haven't spent too much time with your team and you want to go use an example from last year, that's fine too. But if you're picking one guy to be the class clown on the team, who's it going to be?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had an easy answer from last year. Would be, I would say, Devin Parks, but he's kind of went on a different route. Planning to come back to Clemson, but I would say Devin Parks. I mean, his nickname was Funny Guy. We'd always joke around. His nickname was Funny Guy. He'd always be definitely, I would say, the class clown.
Love that. All right, how about the glue guy? Who's your glue guy?
What do you mean by that?
Like, who's the guy that can fit in on any of the groups within the team and really is your go-to guy whenever you need anything or hype the team up?
It's kind of hard to tell right now.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of them, so that's why it's tough.
A lot because you have the pitchers, we're always doing our own thing, and then the hitters kind of. But once we start getting into more team practices, yeah, we'll know. But
yeah, that's right. How about leader? We talked a little bit about who might, but who might be your team leaders.
I would say as far as the pitchers, we'll go with I would say Lucas Malstedt. Another returning guy.
Yep.
He had a lot of innings last year. Very smart guy. and he seems to be taking that role this year as a leader. And I mean, a lot of the pitchers look up to him, and yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah, he had a great summer too. I think he went and pitched 10 innings in the Cape
Oh,
Cod League and was fantastic.
oh yeah. And then as far as the hitters, I would say, even though he's young, Jaron Purify, he'd definitely be a leader amongst the hitters. I'm trying to think of an older returning guy. Jack Crichton. Oh yeah, Tristan Becerra.
Oh yeah,
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I had an interview earlier with Garrett Michelle, and he's very close with Tristan. And it's funny, I just realized that we've mentioned Tristan in two of my interviews today. So,
Very smart guy. He's very regimented. Good student, and a great guy to look up to. I mean, he's always in the cages working.
Got some good power too. A lot of fun to watch hit.
Great physical guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he could be a guy that might be. I mean, I don't know. He might have had what you consider a breakout last year, but I think he's going to be even better this year. I'm pretty excited to see him. Sure. So for some reason, I apologize, Tristan, if you end up watching this at some point. That I forget about you sometimes, but I'm very high on you, and I think you're going to have a huge year. So, next up, obviously, you're probably gonna have a very long and established baseball career. But what would be your dream job outside of baseball?
Dream job outside of baseball? I've always wanted to own a business. Kind of the plan. I was thinking, if baseball doesn't work out, maybe open up own a training facility. Have a bunch of guys work out there and kind of make plans for guys trying to make it to the next level, and kind of take part in that business, in the business world of owning that business, and then also being able to have that baseball side to it, so I can have best of both worlds. But I would say own a business. That'd be cool.
I love that. And I think I saw your area study is business, right?
Yes, business management.
Yeah. So there you go. You're already on your way for both careers. All right, let's say I'm coming down to Clemson. What's the go-to food spot?
Ooh, go-to food spot. We're talking I would say, for lunch, I never had a place like this back home. I would say Sully Steamers for lunch. Breakfast, there's a lot of little breakfast spots you can go to, but for dinner, I'd recommend Tokyo, a little hibachi place. It's pretty good, not too far away.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. That's not even for the podcast. That's purely selfish for me. Yeah. So that I've got, so I can food. I'm very food driven, so I needed to know.
Yeah, me too, 100%.
So I'm asking all the players that, writing it down. Toughest hitter you faced in the ACC last year?
Okay, there's a couple.
I was going to say that I hope so, because it's a very deep conference.
Yeah, I mean, the toughest hitter I'd say was James Tibbs. Oh my gosh, he had my number, man. That dude. I mean,
he had an incredible season.
First at bat, I want to say I walked him, but I know he had 2 hits and they're both homers off me in the same game. It was crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. Based on your numbers, that did not happen very often last year. So,
he's definitely number one.
Would that also kind of fit your welcome to the college baseball moment, or what was your welcome to college baseball moment?
Probably against South Carolina. That was pretty sick. And then welcome to college baseball moment was actually that game. Cole Messina hit a homer to deep center off me. I think that was the first one I gave up. But
not a bad guy to give it up to. I mean, he's a pretty good player.
Yeah, he's really good. And then facing facing Cags in that last game was like the biggest like whoa, like I mean, you hear all this stuff about, Cags and stuff, and you're going out there to face him. And I think first at bat, was it first? Yeah, first at bat, flipped him a curveball, got in there for a strike, went back to it again, and then he went down and just like I don't even know, he just went down pretty low and kind of golfed it, and I'm like, okay, I don't know, I don't think he got it, and then I just heard their dugout going crazy, and I'm like, no way, went over the scoreboard. I was like, over the scoreboard? I didn't even see it. I didn't even look up. I'm like, but yeah, everyone was like, yeah, man, that thing went over the scoreboard. I'm like, that's crazy.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, it's such a cool sport. I think a lot of people are missing out at some of the stars they can see, and honestly, that South Carolina Clemson series was. I didn't get to be there in person, but it was such a blast to watch on TV. It's a shame that we didn't get all 3 games, but like because it's so early in the season, I think a lot of the tournaments were over by then too. Because I think it was one of the last weekends before ACC play, right? And
yeah, I think so.
And just to have that atmosphere, it was like a regional atmosphere in the beginning of March, which was really really cool. So, and of course the 2 schools don't like each other, so you had that. So, but the last one, I've got 2 more for you. Second to last one. What's your favorite ACC ballpark to visit besides your own? I know you don't have the whole selection because you've only been in the ACC 1 year, but
yeah, I mean, I don't think the ones we've been to. I'm trying to think. We went to Notre Dame. Went to Duke. Duke was pretty cool. I like the trees in the back, but it was kind of like it was like a smaller. We didn't get to play in the stadium they usually play in because they had renovations. But man, Duke was cool. Wake Forest was like the most interesting to me. I mean, it was definitely a cool stadium, but as a pitcher, I didn't like it because that fence is pretty short. But
some balls can fly out of there that aren't necessarily well struck.
Yeah.
So I could understand as a pitcher. As a hitter, I'm sure they, the Wake Forest hitters love it, but
like atmosphere wise, I'd probably say Wake Forest, based on the ones we went to, just because like there was like the whole stadium was packed out. And it was kind of a harsh environment, but just look at it like objectively, that was probably the best one.
Is there one that you're excited about the possibility of this year? I would imagine Florida State's probably high on that list.
Yeah, if we can play at Florida State or even at UNC, that'd be cool. Top 2 I want to go to.
UNC is it's been a pretty common answer. It's a really nice ballpark. All right, last one. I'll do a lot of memes, fun memes for players when they do stuff. I think we had one for you and again, this is why I should have known how to pronounce your name correctly, because it was a pun on knocking on your door, and it was like it was the death, and each team that you beat was the door, and you were going to the next one. But and so I should have known how to pronounce your last name correctly. But which teammate most deserves a fun meme? And obviously Cam Canarella already has one, so
yeah, I was gonna say
the big star.
Cam's definitely a good one. Definitely a good one. I'd say Justin Legernick.
Maybe.
And BJ Bailey for sure.
Love that. I will get on that. So we've got something for the spring.
Yeah.
But that's going to be it for me. Aidan, do you have any final thoughts you want to share, or?
No, that's it. I mean, that was awesome. pretty cool. Be able to connect with you, have an awesome interview like this. Thanks for having me. I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time. Again, I know how busy it is, so I really appreciate it. For fans watching ACC Central, we'll have another episode in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, go Tigers.
Yep, go Tigers.